when our teachers
are
are
not
not
happy.
even paid.
They are not happy.
Forget about being happy. They're not even paid their salaries. What is the question of being happy?
Anyway,
Now, when they go back home, maybe the children will say, Mom, Dad,
I don't
there is
know
no
how,
food in the house. Can you imagine their plight? Forget about happiness.
Politics is dynamic. Issues are changing. Expectations are high. This is where you'll hear our leaders speak. Are we ready? Let's start. Good evening, Ba.
Oh, good
Ronnie,
evening.
Good
Good evening, Ba.
Nice
Loniak.
house you've got. Nice place
Thank
also.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome. Welcome.
Very cool, very nice. Huh?
Yes, it's pleasant up here.
So, good evening once again, Ba. Ronnie, it's a pleasure to meet you and to have a chit-chat exchange of ideas.
Yes.
The aim of this in free and frank talk at Balam is to highlight your achievement and your drawbacks so that people can know what you have done. Because in the field you are in politics, sometimes you feel bad to tell, but here you have to tell because others will tell your defects.
Okay. I would like to start from the beginning.
Now, I'd like to know first your academic background.
I did my schooling in St. Anthony's College, also from St. Anthony's College, Shillong. I've done my BCom.
Become?
Yes. Okay. In fact, I never had any intention of joining politics, but circumstances compelled me to join politics.
You're a reluctant politician, but you did well then afterwards.
You can say so, reluctant, yes. But circumstances compelled me, and of course, it was the people who compelled me to contest the election. Yeah, here I am. Now I've become a politician.
How many terms you have won MLA and MDC? How many?
MDC, I contested in 2004. I was elected on my first attempt. Then MLA, after MDC, I was requested by the people to contest the MLA. And that was in 2008. On my first attempt, I got elected. Again, on 2013, I was re-elected again. And of course, you know, now in 2018, I was defeated. And of course, in 2019, I was asked by the people to contest the MDC elections, and I was elected with, you know, a comfortable margin.
Very good.
Yes.
That means for you, the failures are the pillar of success, huh?
That's what
I don't like
it is said.
I didn't like to hear the word defeated. That means you could not win. That's better. But you made the challenge, it's a challenge because you won MDC with a good majority.
Yes, I lost the MLA by about 450 votes. And I won the MDC by more than 2,000 votes. So you can say I was not defeated. I was perhaps because of various reasons. Various reasons. Yes.
So can you tell me, during your tenure as Minister, what were the portfolios you handled?
I was given, of course, the Chief Minister then was Dr. Mukul Sama. I was given charge of urban affairs, soil conservation, and arts and culture. But I have to remind you, I got hardly a year.
Oh, hardly a year.
Hardly a year as a minister, so I could not accomplish much.
2008?
No, 2016. September 2016. The first term, I was not given, I was not made a minister.
But you did a lot of work, I was told, in the first term, in spite of not being a minister. But you did for your constituency.
For my constituency, yes, I was able...
Can you tell me what you did?
For example, the first term I was elected, most of those villages, what we call Lyngdoh, about 5-6 villages, didn't have blacktop roads. So the first priority was to have all those villages to have blacktop roads, because the main occupation of the people there is cultivation, farming. So without proper road, farming becomes not remunerative. It becomes costly because inputs will have to be carried by overhead.
And that's very costly.
Very costly, and people when they were sick, transportation costs became very expensive. So in 2010, I was able to have all those roads blacktopped.
That side.
Yes, that side,
Lyngdoh.
including this part of Malim and part of Upper Shillong, that is Lumoba, Nongse, Umlanka, Sanmer, Mauklot, and Nongpur.
That means you are not a minister then.
I was not a minister then.
But regarding water, when say, Greater Shillong Water Supply Scheme has to pass through Upper Shillong, through Milim area.
Right.
Did you manage to take advantage of this water running to Shillong and get the scheme?
You see, unfortunately, I was told by the elders of this area that the PHE had promised these en route villages, that once that project was completed, en route villages will be given water supply after this completion of Greater Shillong Water Supply Scheme. That was never done, that was never fulfilled. So the people felt betrayed, felt let down.
Is it continuing till now also?
Now, fortunately, when they wanted to implement the second or third phase of Greater Shillong Water Supply Scheme, then I impressed upon the PHE department and of course the then Chief Minister and the then PHE Minister that, people of this area were in fact discriminated upon.
Naturally.
Because
very near to Shillong.
The pipes were passing through Upper Shillong, but the people of Shillong were not given that facility. So, fortunately, I requested the PHE department that this also should be given a priority, and we managed to get a scheme from the Ministry of Donor for Upper Shillong Water Supply Project, 33 crore.
33 crores.
Only for Upper Shillong area. And another 5.5 crore for Malim area. So total almost 50 crore, almost 50 crore.
So that means losing en route benefits, you did extra. That
Not exactly, we benefited because then of course I impress upon the PHE that even people in the rural areas need clean drinking water. Clean. So I impress upon them that, just because people of the city can complain, can write in a newspaper, so on and so forth, and bring it to the knowledge of the government, so you don't ignore them. But the people of the rural areas, because they don't have access to the media, they're not very conversant about the media, so they were neglected. I took the initiative, I took the lead to ensure that the people of Upper Shillong also are given water supply project from the PHE department. Fortunately, the government of Meghalaya agreed upon my request, and out of 120 crore, which was due to Meghalaya from the Ministry of Donor, I managed to get 30 crore. Of course, 10% is contribution from the state.
When I was in the press, I met you there for your tourism.
In Malim?
Malim.
Yes. Of course, then I was chairman MTDC.
2011-12.
Yes.
You chairman MTDC.
I was chairman MTDC.
What did you do under the MTDC for the people here?
You see, because we wanted to promote the state as a tourist destination, but we didn't have the required infrastructure. Our government, MUA government 1, we introduced this scheme project that to encourage people to set up resorts and homestays. We introduced this scheme of giving 30% subsidy. Of course, it was resort was limited to 1 crore rupee, 1 crore, and homestay 30 lakh. Why we did that is because, we looked at the unemployment situation then. Most of our educated unemployed youth could not get employment. So we introduced this scheme to encourage educated unemployed youth to get meaningful employment, stand on their own feet. But why we limited to 1 crore? Why we limited to 30 lakh is not to allow the capitalists, the rich people to take advantage of the scheme. That's why we limited to 1 crore homestay and 30 lakh rupees.
Because I remember in 2011-12 you went there, and now where we have tea, there's a big nice homestay and very delicious food.
You see, this has generated a lot of employment and of course revenue for the state, because then people used to visit our state. When there are no proper accommodation, they go back to Guwahati. So ultimately, we did not benefit financially.
Accommodation.
We did not benefit financially. Now, after a lot of homestays have been set up, Not only have educated, unemployed youth got meaningful employment, they've, allow the tourists to stay back, because just tourists visiting a state and going back on the same day doesn't benefit us financially. So after we set this up, a lot of tourists have stayed back. In fact, there is a homestay here nearby. I was told by the owner, a young guy, dynamic person.
Near your house, yeah?
Just about 2 kilometers from me, the 7th mile, where tourists came all the way by road from Bangalore.
Bangalore?
And they stayed for more than a month here. Imagine how much.
In that homestay?
Yes, more than a month. I was told by the owner. Young,
he must have made a fortune.
Not exactly a fortune, but he must
For him,
have earned.
for him it's a fortune.
But the best part is people are able to spend a month here and, enjoy the hospitality of our people. And of course, financially we benefited.
But what I like your people here, up to 7 Mile, even up all the way to Sharapani Tengar, people are very hospitable, very nice. And what I like is that even when they talk Hindi, broken Hindi, they talk broken English. They thought that I was foreigner. I told them I'm from Khasi here. Oh, then they talk Khasi. We have nice tea there.
So that is how, we introduce this to promote tourism. We introduce this. And of course, you can see now a lot of homestays have come up, a lot of resorts have come up because of the incentive that we offered. 30% subsidy upfront.
30% subsidy.
Yes.
And this loan, is it a soft loan or regular loan?
You see, you can say, will not say regular or soft loan, but the interest was quite nominal.
Yeah, that means.
Plus, the 30% subsidy that they got. Now, for example, if somebody has availed a loan of 1 crore, now he has to repay back only 70 lakhs. 30% is waived off by the government.
Now, during these last 2 years, last year from the second week of March 2020, last year also the whole year, and now this year, only recently this COVID has subsided more or less.
Yes.
I think most of these owners, homestay, resort, they are running the loss. The government, did you talk to the government to think about this loan component?
You see, because I'm an MNDC now, in fact, this organization of homestay owners, resort owners, I think they've approached the government for some kind of assistance to tide over during this time of crisis.
Because people had
I don't know what was the outcome, because I'm not an MLA now, and besides, our party is not in the government. But I think a lot of people had to go through difficulty, and some of them had even to close down because they've just started and avail loan from financial institutions. Some of them had to close down because
Not in your case. Last year in the month of April 2021, we went to that in Terna. We went to that route living bridge. I didn't go down 4,000 steps. My age did not allow. I went to this homestay, guest house, resort in Mausmai, and even Nokalika there too.
Yes.
They are complaining to me they are running at a loss.
Yes, obviously.
So I told them you should talk to the government.
Yes.
They said they are trying, but I don't know.
You see, because I think in other countries, a lot of these, you can say, hotels, dealing with hospitality business, the government supported them.
Yeah.
You go to UK, they were given financial support. You go to the US, they were given financial support. Hospitality business, because when there is lockdown, people cannot visit the place, cannot visit the state. So the government had to provide assistance so that they can somehow manage.
Yeah, you're right, because even the small country like Maldives,
yes,
they depend mostly on tourism. And there's one more island in the South Pacific, Cook Islands.
Yes.
The population of hardly 25,000. They get 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs tourists. No, they are nearly stunned. So luckily, Australia and New Zealand helped them.
Yes.
Because when the tourists came there, they passed through Australia.
No, because you see, it is only fair when everything was normal.
Yeah.
When tourists visit the state earns revenue.
Yeah.
So when tourists cannot visit the state, isn't it the duty of the government to provide assistance to those
No, we should talk
hotel
about
owners, hospitality people who are involved in hospitality business?
No, anyway, since you are minister, you are MLA for 2 terms, now you are MDC. But even as a public man, you can take up the issue to government. I'll tell you, Ronnie, I'll tell you an experience I read in the book. When Churchill was the Prime Minister, and there was a Lady Astor from different parties, they clashed like anything in Parliament. But when it came to the interests of the nation, they were united.
Sadly, that is not the case only in Meghalaya, it is the case in the whole of the country. I'll give you an example, Loniak. You know, on flimsy ground, a lot of activists, opposition politicians were charged under sedition law.
Yeah, sedition.
I'll give you an example. A union minister, I'll not name him because Modi may have me arrested. Of course.
Okay.
I'll not name him. But a prominent union minister of the present government, when there was a protest in Shaheen Bagh, what did he say? Gadaron loko gulimaro, salon loko gulimaro. Now, sedition law is if your statement, your action incites violence, then you can be charged under sedition law.
Sedition Act.
Okay. Opposition members, opposition politicians, journalists, activists, social activists were charged on flimsy charge on sedition law. A prominent union minister who gave that statement to incite violence. In fact, somebody, shot down one of the protesters because that you can, attribute that to that statement made by the union minister. Now that union minister, no action was taken.
Yeah.
Isn't that clearly an act of sedition?
Yeah.
You incited violence. Now, so sadly, like your question, you were saying, it's so sad that unless you are in the ruling dispensation, though you represent a section of the population, you are discriminated upon. In Meghalaya, in the whole of the country, this is very sad. Very sad. This shouldn't be the case because just because somebody doesn't belong to the ruling party, you're not discriminating the representative who represents that particular constituency. You discriminated against the people.
Yeah.
The people who elected that particular gentleman or that lady.
But I'll share with you, I say again that Churchill and Lady Astor, in Parliament they were very much against each other.
Right.
She stood up, she told him, quarrel, policy matter, not personal. When she got very angry, she told Churchill, if I were your wife, I would poison your drink.
Yes.
Close quote. Because Churchill was a heavy smoker and a mild drinker. You know what Churchill stood up and replied? Madam, quote, if I am your husband, if you are my wife and I am your husband, I will drink that poison. Close quote. Because, but so much infighting in the Parliament to represent the interests of people, but when the country was in peril, they were united.
Yes.
So you see, for example, COVID, there should have been no party. There should have been no feeling of discrimination. I do not know. Anyway, I'll ask when
see the narrative now.
Yeah.
What is the narrative now? You elect us because we are going to be in the ruling party. You elect so and so, they're going to be in the opposition, and you'll be discriminated. They've only admitted openly. So is this democracy? Just because somebody doesn't belong to a ruling dispensation, you'll discriminate the people who voted that person?
Yeah, this is a
This
tragedy.
is not fair. I think this has to be told to the people that if that is the case, then you have to resort to, for example, you can file a PIL, you can go to the court, because now, for example, water supply is a human right.
Yeah, human rights.
So what are you doing when you deny somebody clean drinking water? You're denying him his human right.
Yeah.
So I think the government should be made aware. Whoever comes into the government, any party,
we hope so.
That is a human right.
Human right. And this comes, since you talk on water, would the Millennium Constituency fall under Jal Jeevan Mission or under that Mission Amrut?
You see, the concept...
we get confused.
Under Jal Jeevan Mission. Yes, the concept is very good. But I think in implementation, I think there are a lot of,
Yeah. Because certain areas...
For example, I'll give you an example about Loniak. There is a village here in Milim constituency. I'll not name the village. Now, they have been provided with this Jal Jeevan Mission project. Now, that particular village has no source, no water source.
No water source.
Where are we going to draw the water from?
But
you see, now for example, yes, proper planning was not done. Just because, they're looking at the electoral gains. For example, now, of course, you have so many schemes, but where is the source?
Yeah.
So I was asking the villagers, where are we going to draw the water from? Do you have a source? They say, we don't have that. Then where are you going to draw? You see, when you conceptualize a project, you should take everything into account. Whether that particular village has, water source. If not, then you have to look for water source.
This tragedy, it's like giving the plate, fork and knives to a person to eat, but no food.
Exactly.
When he sees those things, he feels more hungry, no?
Or the food is there, but you cannot eat because you don't have the spoon and the fork.
Anyway, good.
You see, now we have to look what are the strengths of Meghalaya. Now, if we just, implement whatever the central government, proposes, I think it's not going to work. For example, if you open a steel industry here, how can we compete with big states like Maharashtra, UP and other states? Now we have so many problems, logistics problem, labor and all that. So we have to look what are the other activities that we can generate revenue for the state and generate employment at the same time.
And this should be according to the climate of the and the environment of the area.
Exactly.
And now people are not yet highly industrial minded and they cannot compete with big industries.
Exactly. Now we have transport problem, we have labor problem, we do not have cheap labor. Now, for example, dairy development. We discuss in our government, MUA government, under Dr. Mukul Sangma, and we wanted to promote dairy farming in a big way. I think you're aware that if not more, at least 50% of the milk that is supplied by Central Dairy of the Veterinary Department comes from Upper Shillong.
Really?
If not more than 50, if not more, but not less than 50%.
I'm interested to hear.
So now I took the interest of discussing in our government, how do we, encourage more these dairy farmers to take up this activity. And we had a meeting here where people who were interested in dairy farming came and registered with us, and each of them were given 2 milk cows each, worth about 1,50,000 to 2 lakhs.
That means these were given free?
Free.
How many beneficiaries do you remember?
Exactly, I don't remember, but it is in the hundreds.
Hundreds?
Yes, in the hundreds. Now you'll see people from Nongse, Omlanka, Nong Omlong, Mauklot, Nong Pure, like Mensa, Umarkhan, they've all taken up this activity, and some of them have become, economically well off. I remember one young person, after he took up this dairy farming, he said, "Ba, when I was working as a daily wage earner, I could hardly feed my family. Now he proudly said, after taking up this activity, I send my children to English medium school."
Very good. Very good.
You see, so this will provide employment to our young people and of course generate revenue. Now, if we want to encourage organic farming, then we have to encourage dairy farming because, you get that manure, which is not chemical.
Yes, it is a biomanure, natural manure.
Biomanure.
So
and then, of course, now if you want to start a biogas project, now what if you encourage this?
Kaudong is raw material.
Ingredient for this, raw material.
And it's very good because when you talk of biomanure, natural farming, so dairy farming is beneficial to the people. And at the same time, you get the manure, the Kaudong's manure.
Yes, so
and
latest
technology, they are using cow urine for the manure.
Yes. Once I met an officer who was retired from the veterinary department. He said in Himachal Pradesh, because people now are very conscious about their health. So they're afraid of all these chemical pesticides. And so now they've opted for organic pesticides. And in Himachal Pradesh, they spray this organic pesticide for the apple orchards there.
Good. We can do that with our oranges here or our plum.
Yes, why not? Why not?
Guava. That's
Why not?
good.
Yes, yes.
So
So that what we eat is healthy.
Now that you
Now
are,
what we eat is
healthy.
mostly, chemical pesticides, chemical fertilizer, and that is.
And not only that, chemicals when you spray in the hillside, these insecticides and weedicides, at the time of rainy season, it
all flows
to
into the
drinking
water system.
water system.
Yeah.
That's why many of our young boys, young girls suffer from different stomach ailments.
Exactly. Yes.
And very soon it become chronic also.
So this is chain reaction.
Yes, chain
Now,
reaction.
you using pesticides because ours is a hilly region. So like you said, all the pesticides, the residue goes into the streams and rivers, which are our drinking water source.
Through this media also, we have been writing that we should encourage bio-farming, not self-farming.
Besides, I'll tell you more. If we can sensitize our farmers, we can, bring awareness to them. You're going to fetch higher price for your organic produce rather than for your produce which you've used chemicals.
Now coming back to dairy farming, so can we know the present portion of these young boys, young girls have benefited from the scheme?
I'll give you an example. There is a young person, I think in his early 30s, who had done postgraduate. He's a postgraduate. Yes. Postgraduate from Nehu. He couldn't get employment. Then he availed of the scheme. Now he's doing quite well. He's earning, I think, not less than 50,000-60,000 per month.
That is very good.
You can meet that person. You can meet that person.
So, you see, that's the thing we need very much. Educated, unemployed, should be enterprising entrepreneurs in their own business.
Yes.
See, I'll share with you, I did my studies from PhD from Bombay.
Yes.
In Nashik, I found, run by the Catholic Mission and the Seventh-day Adventist Mission. Many of these graduates, postgraduates, they come to the training and they are doing much better. They refuse to join government service.
Exactly.
And they are earning lakhs of rupees per month.
Exactly.
I told some of them, college assistant professors, associate professors, they are earning 70,000, 80,000. Even professor make it 1,20,000. Oh, you are earning 2-3 lakhs. Why don't you start a college? We don't start a college. We are not expert, but we keep help to the colleges.
Yeah, because the danger now is, people have shifted from agriculture to something else. Okay, because agriculture is no longer remunerative. Yeah. Okay, so the danger is now a country that has surplus food.
Yes.
Is a country that is secure. Now, food security. Now, if, like you said, if educated young people start going into farming, not only they'll contribute to the food production, they can use the technology available now, to use the modern technology available. Now, if you can produce, with the traditional method, say 1 acre of land, you can produce, say 1 ton of paddy. Yeah. Maybe if you use modern technology, you can produce more.
With the natural resources.
Yes.
It's good. That's why we call intensive cultivation.
Intensive cultivation.
So it's very good. Now, I don't know, now you meet your friends who benefit. How do you have a follow-up talks with them, follow-up action with these young boys, young girls?
Yes,
you have
I
been us here 2 examples. With other schemes, did you meet them during this last few days, or
yes, I did.
Will you meet them?
Yes, I did. Some of them, have been grateful. They said, if now we become economically better off, it's because of the project that you introduced. You see, these are the kind of things that we introduce. Sadly, now people, are fooling the people to have them elected by offering inducements. That won't work.
That won't work. That is short-term profit.
Because the voters will have to depend on you, indefinitely. Now, if you make them stand on their own feet, they will not, bother. So you can go about doing serious things, policy making, law making. Now that is not being done. Now people get elected by just offering inducements.
I mean, you're teaching them
in kind or in cash.
You're teaching them to be idle.
Not only that, idle, and then you forget your role that you're supposed to do, what you've been elected for is lawmaking and policy making. When you have laws in place, policies in place, then gradually people will, economically, they can improve their living standard.
Yeah, very good. Now, in the print media, young reporters, very expert, they go around collect these inspiring stories. I'll send them to you.
Send them to us.
These two who have done well, especially that.
You send them. I will take them to. Meet those.
These stories.
Let them have first-hand experience.
Yeah,
Let them explain.
These stories will inspire others.
Yes.
They are not lie idle. They not resort to drugs or drinks.
Because you see, Loniak, you see some of these countries where the per capita income is very high. I'll give you an example of Switzerland, Denmark, and then other countries, European countries. Their per capita income is as equivalent as Kuwait. Now Kuwait, they have got oil.
Oil.
One of the factors that has contributed to their economy is dairy farming. Why can't we go in a big way?
You had
dairy
to do
farming.
a project here earlier.
We had, but you see now.
Because terms have to end. Central
Terms
government.
have to end, and I believe in this. The government has no business to be in business.
Yeah, that's why.
Now we encourage private parties, because if they work hard, they earn more. Now for a poor government employee, whether he spends 12 hours a day or 2 hours a day, he'll get the same salary. Yeah. So why would you take all the trouble? So you encourage private entrepreneurship so that they contribute to the economy of the state.
I remember Lyngdoh said the government is not to do business.
Exactly.
The government is to serve the people
the
and
government
to make the people aware.
Yes, the government is, you have laws in place, policies in place, and support individuals, support entrepreneurship, support that.
See, when Pono Sama became the Chief Minister in 1988, the first thing he did was to bring awareness in print, and he brought agriculture policy, industrial policy, and then he strengthened that education policy of Rajiv Gandhi in 1986, initiated by K.C. Pan. Yes. We had different policies. He initiated. Unfortunately, it could last only 2 years. But even then, that hangover continued, especially in industries, for young boys, young girls, not to go for big industries, but for those industries who rely for raw materials within the state.
We have huge potential,
farming.
But the government has to come with proper policies. Yeah, we have huge.
We don't have proper policy. We hope.
We don't have.
Now we have got so many oranges. In Riboy, so many citrus fruits. Yes. So many of these different varieties. We could convert them into pickle.
Yes.
Or
you see,
orange squash.
Government of India is offering 50% subsidy for anyone willing to set up a processing industry, food processing industry. Now the government should take, the state government should take that and, bring awareness to the people. You start, see, 50% subsidy you get.
Through this medium, people will hear, and we'll try to write also on this 50% subsidy.
50% subsidy.
Recently, you have seen, that jackfruit, certain states, they are making it into a kind of a meat.
Jackfruit, they call it superfood. Now you can survive the whole day if you just take a few of those
sticky food.
Say for example, 10, 20 pieces, you can survive. There is enough nutrients on the jackfruit for a person to last throughout the day. That is superfood, and that grows abundantly in our state.
That's why I come back to what you did. You make roads, motorable roads, so that the farmers could benefit.
Right.
Otherwise, overhead cost is very high.
Yeah.
And we'll have the trips make per day by overhead cost hardly 5 trips. But a car can cover even from Liam to Shillong more than 20, 30 trips.
Exactly. Now, because you see, now road is the most important infrastructure if you want to promote any activity, whether economic, whether social, whether anything. Unless you have proper roads, you cannot promote any other activity.
That's right.
So, on the first term that I was elected, I ensure that almost all the villages have all-weather road, blacktop roads. So, this has benefited the farmers. I remember I visited one village So the family was sitting in the compound, preparing their agricultural produce to be taken to the market. And the head of the family, the father, told me, he said, in Khasi, he said, that's no Jathai. Means, I feel relieved. I said, why? What is the reason? He said, earlier I had to carry my produce from here about 2-3 kilometers to the main road. Now the vehicles come to my house to collect the produce. That is what road does. So I think the government should give priority to have all-weather roads. And of course, there should be, quality,
quality.
Proper supervision, that you have good quality
The
roads.
road will not last only for one season.
One season.
We call the road is the lifeline.
Lifeline.
Now I'd like to ask you, since this national highway under the scheme of JICA,
Right.
Japanese-Indian collaboration.
No, Japanese International Cooperation Agency, something like that.
So it passed through your area and you are MDC. You cannot abdicate your responsibility. Don't say that is the duty of Malay. So have you taken follow-up action? Because I've seen somewhere so many trees have been cut down.
Yes.
So
yeah, you see,
lifeline, no? It's a lifeline.
Exactly.
The road.
Exactly. You see, when you take up any project, I think the first thing is we have to look at the cost-benefit ratio. Okay, like you said, a lot of trees have been felled. Now, yes, that is a loss, big loss. But what is the benefit that we are going to accrue from this scheme? So yes, we are going to, lose something, but how much are we gaining? So we have to look at that.
Yeah.
Now, are we going to gain more or lose more? So look at the cost-benefit ratio. If we have this road, for example, now our farmers can reach Dauki, Bangladesh border, and I believe within 1 hour.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't get good prices in Shillong, you can always go to Bangladesh.
That's why foreign
and I believe this road was, the purpose of this road, the objective is that. So that our people get to trade with Bangladesh. And maybe some of our young people now, they can even go further, availing the port facility in Bangladesh.
Chittagong port.
Yes. But unless you have good road communication to reach that place, now if it takes you 3-4 hours to reach that particular place,
and
doesn't
if it
become
longer, goods will perish,
profitable.
Perishable item.
Perishable item.
That's very good. You have brought this thing where it concerns our farmers.
I'll just remind you, Loniak, during this COVID lockdown, our farmers, had to sell their produce, agricultural produce at a throwaway price. And some enterprising businessmen, traders, bought the agricultural produce at throwaway price, and they were buying here at 5 rupees a kg for a cabbage or a cauliflower, and they were selling at Dauki at 50 to 80 rupees per kg. Now the farmers could have done that themselves if they had good roads.
Yeah, good roads. And our tribal young boys and girls are very enterprising now. They are educated.
You see, now you see the government promoting agriculture, horticulture, and I think they should look into,
market.
Supporting the farmers to market their produce. Ultimately, you are cultivating for what? So that you get, good price for it. So if there is no market, then what happens? The middlemen take advantage of the farmers, exploit the farmers who do all the hard work, sweat, toil. Ultimately, who benefits? The middlemen.
You see, I've seen in Maharashtra, where I used to go and come, the farmers are being helped, especially when Sharad Pawar was there with these sugar factories. He greatly helped them, and they also helped him. That's why he could start run his NCP. I mean, it is a mutual help. It helps people.
It is, yes. But somebody, like we were discussing, when you have policies in place, then the people will benefit. They will not go to the elected representatives for everything and anything. If they're sick, they go to the representative. If they don't have enough food in the house, I mean, if you have policies in place, you can end that.
So I hope, and as I said, policy, as I would like to bring back, when Purno Sama became Chief Minister in 1980, the first thing he did was to bring policy, industrial policy, pharma policy, education. In consonance with that, education policy of regime.
Really grateful to P.A. Sangma, late P.A. Sangma. But our government also introduced a lot of policies. Like I said, Congress government, MUA, we introduced, this homestays and resorts. Those were our policies. And then we introduced supporting human capital.
In this under MUA.
MUA, yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
People
I
will
was
hear,
an MLA then. I was an MLA then.
Oh, yes.
And then we brought this supporting human capital development, where a lot of infrastructure were provided, besides giving training to teachers so that, we can provide quality education. We came up with a lot of policies.
So now, when you talk on education, I feel very hard when I see the teachers going on the road.
Right.
And I don't know, there's communication gap between the government and the teachers. Now the teachers refuse to do invigilation duty and to correct the answer scripts. I think it continued from MUA government, I think, this regarding SSA.
You see, most of these teachers who are protesting on the streets, I think most of them are, SSA teachers.
SSA.
And I think you're aware, SSA is a central government scheme. So I don't blame any government, the past government, the present government. Now, I think, Loniak, you've been an MLA too, you've been a minister too. Now you know the budgetary allocation for education in the country. 3% of the GDP of the country. Now, a lot of commissions have been set up to increase the budgetary allocation for education. No government took seriously. Now, you see, I'll give you an example. Countries like South Korea, Singapore, Southeast Asian countries, why they have done well economically? Because they invested heavily in education. Now we have, an educated population.
Yeah.
You look at South Korea, a tiny country. Economically, it's a superpower. Singapore is called a city-state. Economically, they are a superpower. You see, sadly, in our country, education is not given the priority. Now you see this present government, MDA government in the center, it has even come up with policies that is going to be detrimental to the future generation of the country, just for their electoral gains. Sad, very sad. And fortunately, people have not realized
that
this.
Means this
now is to promote their ideology, to promote their, but not in the interest of the future generation. That is the danger. We're looking at it now.
Okay,
for example, now you have the new education policy. And then now you have the common university entrance test. Okay. Now, do you provide level playing field throughout the state? No, you don't. Now you go, I think you're aware, you represented a rural constituency. I think in your constituency, you do not even have a college till date. Now, how do those students from those areas, remote areas, compete in this common university entrance test? That is going to, hamper or rather be an impediment to our children from the rural areas, even from urban areas, to continue with higher studies.
Anyway, but coming back
we have to look at that. I don't know if this state government has agreed. Okay, fine. That maybe the objective is very good. But then you suddenly introduce, have you looked at,
But Ronnie, I think our Chief Minister has taken interest very much in CUET. He has taken it up. I think there will be some relaxation for our state. See, even the President of India said in one of his meetings, before introducing anything important, especially when we try to introduce certain acts and law, you should have proper debate in Parliament.
You've been an MLA, I've been an MLA, you're a legislator, you were a legislator, I was a legislator. Isn't it that education is a concurrent subject?
Yeah, concurrent subject since 1976.
Where the state government taken into consideration, where the state government consulted, where the government taken on board, the state governments taken on board that we're going to introduce this. Now, what is this? What is happening in our country? This is dictatorship, undeclared emergency in our country, where, subject, for example, we are all aware that it is in the concurrent list.
Yeah, concurrent list.
Now, where the state government consulted? What is happening? What is happening in our country?
It takes time. So our Chief Minister, I've seen, he's taking care of this UET. And regarding this syllabus also of NEP, very tragic really. When they introduced it in 2020 during the COVID time, the parliamentarians could not have proper debate. And the states also did not have much time.
Yes.
So I will not dwell on that because it's quite a major. Very sorry, really. 3% allocation is sad.
Yeah.
Now election is now is May. That means 7 months more to do your work. Then come Christmas, New Year, and then come vote for, stamp your vote. Yeah. Are you prepared for the next election?
I think from the day I was, not elected as an MLA, people have come to me. They said, we made a mistake. We were fooled by certain issues that were not real issues. So I was literally forced to contest the MDC elections. And I think I was elected with, a very comfortable majority. That says it all. Says it all.
Very good to see your smile. Confident, huh? Confidence.
The confidence I get from the people, from the affection, the support of the people.
You remind me of the film, the sound music, huh? Maria, huh? With confidence.
Yeah.
Went in.
Yeah. Because, I've entered this profession to serve the people. And that is what I intend to do, to ensure that we provide quality, a better quality life.
Very good.
Better life.
What's your age now?
I'm in my 60s, early 60s.
Now with modern health facilities, longevity of life is another 20 years. But to be more active,
hopefully.
LK Dwani,
hopefully.
Even recently, this candidate from Punjab at the age of 95, 95 what?
I think age is just a number.
Age is a number. Now with
it's all in a mind.
And you take care.
I think you look very young.
Aha.
You're much older than me. You're still active.
Because I'm occupied. Clean conscience.
Yes, clean conscience.
So you'll fight in next election.
Obviously.
So I'll come, if you don't mind.
Yes.
You're a congressman.
Yes, right.
Congress, how you feel about Congress now?
I mean, you see.
You think it'll rise up again?
Definitely. Definitely. Because the people are with the Congress. As far as, our state is concerned, it's the only Congress party that, not only in terms of development, in terms of governance, but in terms of ensuring that the Constitution is not altered in any way so that it will affect us. For example, I'll give you an example. Now, a bill has been introduced in the Parliament to make the Bhagavad Gita compulsory moral science textbook.
CBSE course also.
Okay. Now, what does Article 25 says of the Constitution? Every citizen of the country has the right to freedom of religion. Now, thus, introduction of that bill. Introduction of that bill will it not tamper upon Article 25, where it says, every citizen has the right to freedom of conscience, right to freely profess his her religion, right to freely practice his her religion, right to freely propagate his her religion. Now, by introduce such thing, we're not against, the Bhagavad Gita. Yes, it's a holy book of the Hindus. We respect that. But then you cannot thrust it down upon the throat of the people of India. Now, because if article gives me the freedom to choose religion, why would I thrust down my throat, the holy book of a particular religion? If I do it willingly,
we call it imposition and majoritarianism policy.
Now, what we're afraid is majoritarian tyranny. Now, our minority are going to suffer.
Let's hope it won't happen to that. That means you have a hope that Congress will rejuvenate.
Why not?
And come up stronger.
Yes, Millennium would set an example.
Millennium. And we hope the center, and we see, anyway, we'll not talk center. You said Millennium will set an example. Very good. So now I'll come before ending, because education, all these things are very, very difficult. We are going to revise the CBSE syllabus also. Certain chapters we meet at. So I hope our government takes care of this very dangerous trend. Anyway, before we end, I'll come to certain things.
Okay.
It's not testing you, huh? Sir, it's not testing you.
No problem, you can
but
test
to
me.
see that your mind is occupied and you're still up to date.
Right.
You're still 60, huh? 60 is, we call it young before reaching maturity and enjoying old age.
Thank you.
Can you tell me who was the first Chief Minister of Meghalaya?
The first Chief Minister of Meghalaya was Captain W.A. Song.
Yeah. The first Khasi Chief Minister of Meghalaya?
DDPU.
Who was the best Prime Minister of India, irrespective of party, according to you?
The best Prime Minister is Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru.
The best CM of Meghalaya, according to your views?
The best CM of Meghalaya, it will depend on, what are the contexts you're looking at.
No, the performance.
Performance.
According to you?
I think I can name a few.
No, best, only one.
Only one. Let me name two.
Two, okay.
Okay. I think one is the Captain W.A. Sangman and one is Dr. Mukul Sangman.
Anyway, I speak your feelings. Good. According to you, who is the best speaker of Meghalaya so far?
The best speaker, according to me, irrespective of caste, creed, is A.T. Mondal. A.T. Mondal, Mr. A.T. Mondal.
Good. Who was the founder of the Congress Party?
O.H. Hume or
A.O. Hume.
A.O. Hume, sorry, A.O. Hume.
British civil servant.
Right.
So when it was started, people used to say it was an English party.
Right.
But he came next to the Indians to run it.
Right.
Very good. And who was the only independent chief minister of Meghalaya?
Dr. F.A. Khonglam.
F.A. Khonglam. Yeah. When did the Chinese aggression start?
1962.
Are you sure? 62?
Yes.
You were born at that time?
Yes, I was born.
All right.
I was about maybe 1, 2, 3 years old.
When did the liberation of Bangladesh take place? 1971. Yes. And that time census was postponed by 1 month.
Right.
It actually been a sunrise of 1st March of a year ending 1/1 every 10 years. That time it was 1st April 1971. It was not April Fool, of course. Now, who is the present Rajya Sabha MP from
Dr. W.R. Kharluki.
Who was the first MLA of Malayalam constituency?
CM.
Yeah, same.
What was his name?
Okay, Germanic same.
Germanic same. Germanic same.
You are related by Ores, no?
Yes.
When did he become MLA?
1983 to 1988 for 1 term only.
Yeah. Anyway, quality is important. Whether 1 term or 5 terms, quality is important. I used to tell people, Abraham Lincoln became president of America only 1 term.
1 term.
Second term, he served 3 months and he was shot.
Right.
But people remember Abraham Lincoln.
Exactly.
Even Kennedy,
right.
He didn't complete his term, but you remember him. Yeah. My dear fellow Americans,
right.
Do not ask what the country can do for you. Ask yourself what you can do for your country.
Exactly.
He died.
Another statement I'd like to come when you talk about roads, since you're referring to
John
F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy.
Okay.
You know what John F. Kennedy said? American roads are good, not because America is rich. America is rich because American roads are good.
Yeah, very good. I have to congratulate you on that. We have a common hero. When did the autonomous state of Meghalaya come?
1971.
Autonomous state?
1971.
1970.
Oh, 1970.
Yeah.
Okay. So I missed by 1 year.
Full-fledged state of Meghalaya?
1922. 21st January.
21st January. Are you sure 21st January?
Yes, very sure.
You have missed one. 1 out of 15, 94%. Hey, you did 94%, huh?
Thank you.
No, very good. So anyway, if time is there, then we come to education again. I feel sad. As you said, I really admire you. You said when you said it's not the fault of this government alone, it was all along. Because I was education minister for 1 year. Center sometimes ignore these states, the so-called 8 states of Northeast, including the Himalayan states of Himachal Pradesh and Jammu and Kashmir. Sometimes the center keep a stepmotherly treatment to this. They try to treat apart. In the end, the government faced all these troubles. So, as you said, I'm I appreciate you big heart. It's not only the fault of this government, but it was collective. That means the center.
No, not the state government. I'm saying about the central government.
Central government. That means the central government.
Because you see, the allocation, budgetary allocation for education is a measly 3% of the GDP.
Yes.
I mean, you want to have an educated population, then provide more funds.
Yeah.
Now, for example, if the teachers have gone to the street, the state governments are not to blame.
Yeah.
It's the central government that is to blame. Because now, Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan is a centrally sponsored scheme.
Yeah.
Now, if the central government doesn't release the funds, where will the state pay the salaries from? For example, our state, it's a revenue staff state.
Yeah.
Not like other big states where they have other source of revenue.
Our state is 90% share
Yes, from other sources of revenue.
And
our
even
state
there
cannot
are
afford.
certain schemes also 95 and 5.
Right. You see, so for example now, I think the government of India should look into this.
Yes.
Provide more funds. Because once you can educate it, the population of the country, the people of the country, all other things can be taken care of. For example, now if people are hesitant to avail, any medical facility, it's because, they're ignorant.
Yeah.
They can easily be misled by, vested interests. Do not go for this, do not avail vaccination, do not avail this, and people cannot reason for themselves why, they need to avail.
I agree with you in that when you said that central government should take care. When we were in the ministry, this second teacher initiated by Rajiv Gandhi, which is called OB, Operation Blackboard.
Right.
All that money came from the center.
Right.
When they stopped, the teachers were about to strike here during 1991. So then, at that time, in 1990, Purnosama was there, so he had a good relationship with the center. So somehow, the money came. So it was like ad hocism.
You see, what you said, he had good relationship with the center. I mean, when you have policies in place, you may not have a government that is, so having a cordial relationship with the center. No, it depends on, your cordial relationship.
Yeah.
Is that how the country should be run? Because you're not, we somehow don't like your state government, will not provide you funds. Is that how the country should be run? You have policies in place, whether you have a government that is, friendly towards the state or not, funds should be provided. You cannot work that way. On ad hoc basis, if I have a good personal relationship with you, then you will provide me all the funds. If I don't, that is not how the country should be run.
Should be followed. That's why from the beginning I said that irrespective of party affiliations, when certain subjects prevail in the state which affect the teachers or the stakeholders, we should remain united. What I implore upon you is that on education, you are from the Congress, please come together and empathize with the teachers.
Exactly.
And hope that our leader of opposition can write a letter to the government on this. And anyway, our paper will take up, please take it up also. The Congress party should also empathize on the plight of the teachers and stand united with the government.
Yes, we will take up with the state government, but it's the duty of the state government to impress upon the central government to provide funds. If SSA teachers have not been paid because of lack of funds, then it's the central government that is to blame.
No, but the state should pressurize.
Exactly.
Because along with SSA, midday meal scheme.
I think the present government is under the NEDA in Northeast, and in Delhi it is under the NDA government. No, there should be no problem. Like they used to say, you have a Congress government there, you have a Congress government here. What is the problem? So similarly, we are asking the same question. The present dispensation is in the NDA, is an NDA ally in Delhi. No, there should not be any problem.
No, but sorry to correct you. Earlier, when it was a regional party-run government here, and Congress was run Delhi, we fought and we got.
Exactly. Because the right of the people. By denying funds, you are only denying their right to education, which is a human right. Right to education now is a human right.
So I can reiterate my saying that the Congress party shares with the plight and pitiable condition of the teachers.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
So no need that you share. You should fight also unitedly.
We will fight unitedly. In fact, our MP has taken up this issue that it should be addressed.
Yeah.
Because now ultimately, sadly, I remember when I was very small, my father had a friend who was an Assamese. So he was a teacher in Sinathani school, Shillong. Then of course he migrated to Australia. Then it so happened my brother who was in the Don Bosco Pass people had a conference, a seminar to attend in Australia. And then he visited my father's friend. And when he came back, he said, Uncle Farooq has a big house. I'm talking about 30 years back. Okay, has a big house, 2-3 vehicles. So then my brother asked me, do you know what he's doing? I said, no, I don't know. He must be in business. He said, no, he's still a school teacher.
School teacher.
A school teacher. Can you imagine a school teacher here having that kind of life? Now our teachers, are living on debts. No, even for their provisions, food. Now I know I have, my sister's-in-law daughter. That is, my children's cousin.
Yeah.
She's not been paid for 5 months. And when she was paid only for 2 months. Now, how do you expect teachers to discharge their duty when they're not even paid for what they're doing honestly? And sir, you've been a teacher yourself. You know how difficult it is, teaching job. Because the whole generation depends on the teacher. Now, what kind of generation we're looking at? When our teachers are not even paid.
They are not happy.
Forget about being happy. They're not even paid their salaries. What is the question of being happy? Now, when they go back home, maybe the children will say, Mom, Dad, there is no food in the house. Can you imagine their plight? Forget about happiness.
They have been taking credit from the shop. I don't think the shop will allow them after.
Because the shops ultimately will have to take credit from the main supplier. There's a chain reaction. This teacher doesn't pay the shopkeeper doesn't pay the supplier, so everything halts.
Oh, the whole economy
collapses.
So anyway, I'm happy that you said on matters of teachers' plight, you share and you fight for the interest togetherly.
You see, now...
Like I told you earlier,
now, my point is, let us create a level playing field throughout the state where a student from Shillong and a student from some remote place in Meghalaya gets the same kind of education. Unless we can do that, there is going to be a gap where, like they say, the rich get richer, the poor gets poorer. So, a child from, say, urban centers, Shillong, Joy, Nostoin, Tura, so on and so forth, will get better education. But, Loniak, sir, I'll call you sir.
Okay, thank you.
Is now the children who are in the remote places, those are the children who need quality education the most. If we don't, there's going to be a gap between the have and the have-nots. And the gap is going to widen, and we're going to have a problem later on where you have a population, with a degree, but that degree is worth nothing.
Thank you. Very good, huh?
Thank you.
We don't know how time flies.
I know.
You look very happy, confident, huh? Anyway, all the best of luck for you.
Thank you.
Thank you to your family also.
Thank you for coming over. Appreciate your time also.
No, we appreciate you. Allow us here.
Appreciate for having me on your program.
No, the people.
Let's hope what we discuss can benefit the people at large.
People listen. They are listening. They like our.
Let's hope they benefit, including the policymakers, the rulers. If our discussion can achieve that, I think we will have done something.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And I'd like to thank on record this technical staff.
Okay.
They are doing tremendous job.
Yes.
I used to say they are the director and producers. We are actors. Yeah.
They're young people, so through them we disseminate whatever we contribute to the well-being of our state and our people.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Security.